Hey y'all, hi. This is just gonna be a quick little video. I know that those are famous last words here on my channel, but I really mean it this time. I decided to try Curology and I'm going to tell you about it. I'm at the beginning of the process now. I just decided to do it and I have gotten the stuff in the mail and I'm just starting to use it. So I'm gonna tell you about my experience up to this point, and then I'll circle back in 4 to 6 weeks or 2 months and tell you how it went for me. If this is your first time to my channel, then hi, I'm so glad that you clicked on this video. I'm Hannah and I love beautiful things and I love beauty. I do some reviews of makeup and skincare, but I also really love to just use what I own, and I place a premium on my channel on the act of prioritizing what you already own rather than always buying new stuff and always just chasing the next best thing in beauty. And if that sounds good to you, I hope you will subscribe. Now let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. Feeling very Little House on the Prairie today. Little House on the Prairie X bangs. Little House on the Prairie coom fringe. Okay, so acne, my acne. You guys, if you've been following me, know that I've been dealing with a resurgence of my acne lately. And without going into too much detail, because it is a medical thing, like it's my medical health, and I don't really feel like sharing all of the details of my medical health here on the internet right now. So without going into too much detail, my acne is hormonal. It is entirely hormonal. This is like a proven medical fact. I have an unbalanced endocrine system and I've battled with it my whole young adult and adult life. The thing that helps, because it's hormonal, the thing that helps the absolute most is birth control, hormonal birth control. And I have been on and off hormonal birth control my entire life, but my acne doesn't entirely align. It's not like it's the one magic bullet that always fixes it. Sometimes I've been on hormonal birth control and still had pretty bad acne. Sometimes I've been off of it and my acne has kind of calmed down. But the trend overall has been that when I'm on hormonal birth control, my acne is more under control and I tend to have clearer skin. And when I'm off it, my acne tends to be worse. There are pros and cons to hormonal birth control. That's why I've been on and off of it. Sometimes it seems like a really great idea and sometimes it's not such a good idea for reasons that are my own, and I hope that you'll respect my privacy. I don't want to be on it right now, and that is why my acne has come back with such a vengeance, and that's why I'm dealing with it kind of in a new way and having to handle something that I haven't really handled with my skin since before I started my YouTube channel. I'm just saying that to let you know, I think that people who have never dealt with acne of any kind, and especially if you've never had like the really rough, difficult kind of acne, people tend to assume that it's bacterial only, like that it's something that's on the surface of your skin, and that if you would only clean your skin better or find a better thing to apply to your skin to just deal with the bacteria that's on your skin, or if you would only, obsessively clean your brushes all the time, or if you only wouldn't use a doe foot applicator in your concealer or whatever, then your acne would go away. I think people tend to make that assumption if they haven't dealt with serious, and especially if they haven't dealt with hormonal acne. I know from, I'm 36, like I've been dealing with this for my entire life as an adult woman. And I know from my own personal experience and from talking with dermatologists and doctors and from having been tested that it's about the balance of hormones inside of my body. And my acne is coming from essentially an excessive reaction of the oil glands in my face to the fluctuating hormones in my body. Now, of course, once the acne starts emerging, once the pores get clogged and it turns into blemishes, then there's bacteria there. It is physical stuff that's going on the face and in the skin, and topical treatment can help that. And that is why I have become so obsessed with skincare and finding out what is the best way to encourage the turnover of cells in the skin, to soothe the layers of the skin, to keep the very surface of the skin, as bright and fresh as possible, to accelerate the healing of scars, to brighten old scars and hyperpigmentation, et cetera, because it's like dealing with the fallout of this thing that's starting in the body. My experience has been that for me, with the body that I have, with the lot that I've been dealt, most of the time, some blemishes are inevitable. And my goal has always been to have good skin with blemishes rather than bad skin. And some amazing skincare products that I've found over the years and sticking to a good routine and, really putting a premium on self-care has gotten me there. And for most of my life, I have had either really good skin or good skin with blemishes. And that's been fine. For the past, couple of months though, I've been dealing with way worse blemishes than I have in recent years. And I started to wonder if maybe there was something that I didn't really have a handle on going on. Like maybe there was some kind of combination of hormonal and bacterial thing going on. Maybe there was something that a dermatologist would be able to tell me that I didn't know about my skin. And, my usual tactics of keeping my skin really hydrated, making sure that I'm cleansing it very well, using good chemical exfoliants, but not too much. My usual tactics weren't helping. And I felt like it was really, really getting beyond my grasp and just almost like feeding on itself. And I was getting very frustrated. So not that much more than a week ago, maybe about 10 days ago as I'm filming this, I was in the shower, I was washing my face, and I was just feeling like, I wish I could see a dermatologist. I was sort of thinking if it weren't quarantine, maybe I would go to a dermatologist. But, because I know that it's my body, it has to do with what's going on inside of my body, I feel a little bit defeatist about that. Like there's a limit maybe to what's possible for me. Like this is just something I'm always going to have to deal with. But I was feeling like I really wish I could try something else, something that hasn't yet been in my toolbox. And it just floated through my mind that I might try Curology. I actually didn't, at the time I thought of it, have all that much hope. I was like, maybe I should just try it because who knows? Again, maybe there's some kind of like compounded thing, like an additional thing going on besides just my usual hormonal acne that I could just quickly take care of and then things would be much better. And also, when you're dealing with breakouts upon breakouts, you can start to feel kind of desperate and sort of willing to try anything. And I think that it was sort of that. So I came downstairs. It was like the middle of the night. I usually shower at night and I don't usually do this. I usually shower and then I close my computer before I start getting ready for bed. I go shower and then I get straight in, I do my skincare and then I get straight in bed and I start just reading. And I usually don't get back on my computer, but I did it. I got back on my computer, I went on, I clicked through, I filled out all of the form. And while I was filling out the form, I learned something about Curology that I didn't know, which is that the cream that they send you can have retinol in it. And I didn't know that. I knew that retinol, like tretinoin or Retin-A, I knew that retinol had to be prescribed. And I guess I kind of knew that Curology was technically like a prescription. It was technically like a dermatology thing. I guess I knew that, but I hadn't ever put it together in my mind that that meant that you could get prescribed retinol through Curology and get it in the mail in your custom formula. I thought that Curology would be like a custom formula of a variety of treatments, but that retinol wasn't an option. And as I was clicking through and filling it out, it came up. It was like, have you ever tried tretinoin? Have you ever tried retinol? Which I have way back in my late teens, early 20s. I tried it for a little while and it did work at the time. And then I started taking hormonal birth control and I found that that helped more than anything. And so I've just been off and on that and I've never gone back to tretinoin. But I put it in, I was like, yeah, it worked for, a year or two in my late teens. My body has changed completely since then. Who knows whether it would work again. But the form asked me, do you want to try it? Do you want retinol in your formula? And I was like, yeah. And then I was like, oh, this is something potentially more beneficial than I had expected that it would be. And then I was feeling very enthusiastic. So I filled out the form, I took pictures of my face, I uploaded the pictures, I sent it along. Curology has, I assume if you clicked on this video, you kind of know what it is, but maybe you don't, and I've just jumped right into it. Basically, it's it's an acne treatment. It's specifically an acne treating service. It's an acne treatment that is custom to you. So they mix a custom formula based on what you say in your survey and what the dermatologist sees on your skin in the pictures. And then they have these supplementary products, and that's what I'm about to tell you about. So when I went onto the website, I saw it says a 30-day trial. Just $4.99 in shipping and handling. So for $5, you get a 30-day trial. And then after the 30 days, it automatically charges you the full amount for like the full kit and starts sending it to you, I think, every 90 days. I didn't realize that before, but I was like, sure, like what do I have to lose besides $5? And I don't know the time it's taking me to make this YouTube video and a lot of hope and anxiety. What do I have to lose besides $5 to just try this out? But I didn't know what the stuff was going to be like. And that's kind of why I decided to make the video. Because when it arrived, I was like, oh, it's really tiny bottles. So I filled out the thing. I paid the $5. And then, actually, before I show you this, the next thing that happened was a day or two later, I got an email saying like, your treatment plan is ready. I clicked through to read the treatment plan and it included a personalized note from the dermatologist who'd been assigned to my profile. And that was when I kind of started to feel like they're doing something good, like kind of taken care of. And I really started to respect the company. Obviously, the jury is still out, but there are a couple things about this email that I got and the treatment plan that really impressed me, and I'll tell you what they were. So first of all, there's this extensive thing about the ingredients that the dermatologist decided to put into my custom formula and why. So I read through all of that. And then there's her note to me, and she's saying to me specifically, you are clearly insightful about the hormonal effects of acne, because I had written about it in my survey. She says, I agree that your main breakout areas are in a hormonal pattern, so it's likely hormonal. And then she asked the question, why are acne treatments, topical treatments, effective against hormonal acne if it's coming from within? She says it's because it's multifactorial. Hormones play a part, but there are other factors like the bacteria and the clogged pores that come from the oil glands overreacting to the hormones. So treatments that don't affect hormones can still help acne because it's dealing with all of those other factors. This makes sense. And I just appreciate the information, and it's so relevant to me and directly relevant to my issues. So this is explaining why the formula that she has decided to create for me might be effective. But then she goes on to list a bunch of other things that might help mitigate the fluctuations in hormones that cause acne that have nothing to do with Curology. And it's this very long list. Some of these things I already know because I have a relatively clean diet and I've done a bunch of experiments with clean eating. So for example, she's talking about the effects of dairy and simple sugars on acne. One of the reasons that I decided to not have sugar in March as my March resolution is this. I'm sort of like renewing my efforts. I have also been trying to eat less dairy. And I know from experience that when I have a really clean diet, it tends to really help my skin. So she's, mentioning that, linking to some information about that. There's some other information about B vitamins helping some women. It's not like the email saying you should start taking this, you should start doing this. No, it's just general information and links and saying, maybe consider reading about this, maybe consider looking into this, maybe consider asking your doctor about this because these are other things that could help. And one of the one that I didn't know about, because I'd heard about B vitamins, I'd heard about obviously acne being related to dairy and sugar and all of this stuff. The last thing in her message says, it's not proven, but there's some convincing evidence that drinking 2 cups of spearmint tea per day can reduce blood levels of circulating androgens. And androgens trigger oil gland production, et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't know that. I had never read that about spearmint tea. And, so I clicked through and I read some information and I decided to try it. So I've also got some spearmint tea and I'm drinking, a couple of cups of spearmint tea a day. And I just appreciate that because they're not selling spearmint tea on the website. Like Curology is not selling spearmint tea. And so it's not like they're actually selling a different acne product. And in theory, it's like a competing idea, right? Spearmint tea is something that helps from the inside if it does. And the custom formula that they're trying to sell me, they're trying to convince me to subscribe to, is something that's topical. You apply it from the outside. So in theory, it's something that they might want to not if they were less honest, if they were less actually trying to help my skin improve and more just trying to sell me a cream. The tactic might be, this cream is the miracle cream. It's the only thing that's going to work. You must absolutely buy this cream. Don't believe anything else you hear, But instead it feels like I got connected through this service with an actual person who's an actual dermatologist, and she actually read my profile and looked at my pictures, and she's giving me all of the information that she legally can to try to give me the tools to help myself more. And I totally was not expecting that. I was expecting to fill out the thing and then get a bottle in the mail some days later and start slathering the stuff on my face and then cross my fingers and hope that it would help a little bit. So speaking of that, not that long, it wasn't that long, maybe 3 days later, the box came in the mail, and it was very little because, it's not very little as boxes go. It's like a normal size box. It was littler than I was expecting it to be because when I checked out, they were like, we're sending you the cleanser, the moisturizer, the body wash, because with this recent bout of acne, I have had some spots like on my chest and on my upper and lower back, which is very, very unusual to me. Even as I've had acne off and on over the course of my life, it has rarely taken that form. But I put that in the survey, so they're sending the body wash too, and your custom formula. And so I was expecting like these big bottles, because that's what it shows on the website. I didn't realize that when you do the trial, the $5 trial, they just send these little sample sizes. But it makes sense, obviously, and they're supposed to be just for the month. And then I think that if you agree to renew, I think that when you renew, or if you go in and like change your preferences in advance of it actually renewing for like the 90 days, I think that you can choose which one you want. So in theory, I could go in at the end of my month and I could say, I want to continue to receive my custom formula. I want to be subscribed for the body wash, but I don't need the cleanser and the moisturizer. So take those off of my profile. And then I would just continue to get the body wash and the custom formula, or some combination thereof, and those would be big bottles. I think that is the idea. And I have no idea right now whether I'll decide to keep receiving all or few or none of them, or just the custom formula or whatever. I'll update you on that when I make that decision. But for the time being, I can tell you, this is what the box looks like. This is what the little thingies look like. They're these little thingies. I have started to use them, so I can tell you a little bit about the textures. They recommend, this was also in the email that I got, they recommend that you really simplify the rest of your routine. So stop using anything acidic, or even like vitamin C, or anything abrasive, any kind of AHA, BHA, any kind of treatment of any kind. They recommend that you basically just stop using almost everything that you've been using, except for sunscreen, which is really important if you're using retinol, and mild cleansers, or moisturizers, like layering moisturizers. And I have done that. It's been really interesting, actually. I put almost all of my skincare away in a box, and I've continued to use my really basic Derma E nighttime moisturizer, layering it with the one that they sent. I've continued to use a couple of very watery, simple hyaluronic acid serums, but pretty much it's just been this stuff. And I've continued to use an oil cleanser to get off my makeup. Then I've been using their cleanser as my second step. The cleanser is really simple, doesn't really foam, very, very mild and lotiony. It's one of those like really lotiony, moisturizing, not foamy cleansers, not abrasive at all, really nourishing feeling. I definitely need an oil cleanse with this. This alone wouldn't take off my makeup, but it's perfectly nice. And it's nice to know that it's not going to irritate my skin, and that it's designed to like work as part of a treatment program. The custom formula, I've started using it every other day, pretty much. You're supposed to just start with twice a week, but I'm impatient. And I also know that there's quite a low percentage of tretinoin in here. It's just 0.01%. And I know my skin isn't really that sensitive. So I feel like I'm okay. I did start, the first couple times I mixed it in with the moisturizer, and now I'm just putting it straight on my skin every other night. And so far I actually haven't had any dryness or anything. I also haven't had any new blemishes. It's like they stopped in their tracks the day I started using this. And that could just be, it could just be chance. Like it could be that I had had a really bad bout, and then, because sometimes that'll happen. They'll come and it'll be horrible, and then they'll all sort of heal, and then they'll come and it'll be horrible. But the thing that was really frustrating me was that I hadn't had a break from it for a long time. Like it wasn't just like a week on, some weeks off of acne. It had just been like blemishes upon blemishes upon blemishes for quite a while. And finally, I feel like I'm going through sort of a calm healing phase. And it happened to align with when I started using this. And I think I have yet to tell whether this is the reason. We'll see. It's a very lightweight, sort of pasty thing, sinks right in and disappears. It doesn't have any moisturizing with it. It's just like a treatment, just the medicine. And then the moisturizer is pretty rich. It's pretty rich. It's called the rich moisturizer. It is pretty rich. It's a pretty dense, rich moisturizer. But I have been layering it with my other, sometimes lightweight hyaluronic acid serums. And I've also been continuing to use the Derma E moisturizer that I have that's very simple. But that's pretty much been it. The body wash is nice. It's kind of weird and stretchy. It's got like this weird stretchy texture, and it's pretty mild. I've been using this every day since the box arrived, and I actually feel like it's helping too. It's just got a little salicylic acid in it. And that's it. I'm patently not reviewing the actual products here, like their efficacy. I just don't know. I think I'm gonna have to give it close to 2 months before I can really and truly tell you whether I think this has worked. What I will do also is let you know, of course, if I decide to renew the subscription at the end of the month and how many of these things I decide to keep receiving, whether I reincorporate any of my other skincare products or just switch over to a really simple routine. I have no idea. I haven't made any decisions. This was just like a week ago. I was just like, what the butt? I'm gonna try Curology, and I'm trying it. And I'll let you know how it goes. Thank you for being here. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself today so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.